Hi there, Michael Prescott here. I'm talking today about adventure number 40 in the Trilemma Adventure series. I said I'd do all of these. I guess I'm making a little video catalog going backwards from the recent ones to the very earliest ones, how to use them, my inspiration, the danger level, things to look out for when you run them, that sort of thing. I've got myself a new microphone, so hopefully I don't sound anymore like I'm coming to you from 30,000 feet. All right, so Mulciber's Flute. What is this adventure? What I wanted to do for this one was essentially make hell. So at the top here, you can see there's this cavern, the mouth of hell. You can reach it by these cracks that reach up towards the surface to the underside of a city where souls are being haplessly pulled down through these cracks of noxious vapors that are coming upwards from this place. There's cultists going up and down, and this is the source, the base of their power, the mouth of hell. The mouth of hell has got this floating pool with a skull in it. It is the skull of a Titan god from some earlier age, and this hell is basically what's left of its body. And the whole thing is basically a big screw you to the remaining gods, a blight in the spiritual landscape. From the mouth of hell, there are these stairs that lead down to the cardinal castles, the north, south, east, and west castles that guard the entrances to the hellish landscape below. There's a number of different regions: the Pillars of Iron, the Blistered Lands, the Frozen Heights, and the Rivers of Molten Salt. And at the center of it all, around the edge of this awful inferno with the hate star at the bottom, is the city of Pandemonium, where the titular Mulciber is the only thing that produces a sweet or pleasant experience in this whole place as he wanders around the ghostly streets of Pandemonium playing his flute as people follow him around, looking for some relief from their torment. One of the things that's going on here is there's a terrible cycle of reincarnation. Anyone who gets pulled into this or uh, uh, God forbid, killed while they're down in here will get transformed. They get transformed into one of the instantiated wretches. These are actually generally playable. They're all awful. But if a character does get killed, then they can continue. And anyone who's been pulled down here is currently wandering the landscape in one of these forms or other. There's descriptions of NPCs, the pit lords that are ruling over Pandemonium, the description of Mulciber and his flute, the hate star at the bottom in Pandemonium City, and the strange instantiator that's powering this whole awful cycle of reincarnation. So I wanted to make this adventure. It was inspired by a couple of different things. One was this old illustration in the first edition Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook. It was, I'll show you here, a paladin in hell. So here we have this totally epic scene where there's a paladin down in hell fighting devils and demons. He is all on his own. He's got his powers as his only aid. And there was something that always struck me as almost impractically hopeless about this, as epic as it is. He doesn't even have a lunchbox. There's nobody there to help him. How's he going to get out? What's he doing down there? I don't know. So I wanted to make an adventure that is both hellish, but also at the same time bounded in scope, so that a well-armed, determined party could theoretically go down and strike some blow. And it's not kind of they're tangling with a pole of the universe, but just an awful landscape in the spiritual realm. That was one inspiration. The second was the experience of playing Minecraft and going into the Nether and finding these awful nether fortresses. There are these things made of brown bricks. It's hard to see anything. There's no light anywhere. There's dangerous creatures, but also there's this kind of pervasive loneliness, like there is all throughout Minecraft. But the combination of the danger and loneliness I found terribly romantic and intriguing. I always wondered who laid those bricks, what awful project set that being constructed. So I wrote this adventure to kind of answer that for myself. Okay, if you are using this in your own campaign world, in your sandbox world, it's pretty straightforward. You would set it underneath the city. You would put the cult in the city, and you've got the cracks going up, perhaps to the sewer levels or the undercrypt, something along those lines. You could even have it out in the wilderness. Maybe there's some kind of hissing volcanic inferno or some noxious fissure somewhere, and this is completely isolated from civilization, and it's just out there, some kind of awful thing to go and explore and conquer. If you are, however, running a one shot, you probably want something to make it a lot easier for the players to immediately get hooked in. So here we go. I got the one shot hooks. There's 6 of them. First one is there are cultists operating in the city. We've struck a blow against them. There's been some arrests, but find the source of their power and bring back news of what it is. So that's an exploration task. The second is there is some blight that is affecting the city. The sick are dying early. Their souls are being pulled down by with an anguished wail as they go. And a holy visionary has been having terrible dreams that the sick, the dying, the vulnerable are being pulled down and trapped in this awful cycle of reincarnation, and as many must be rescued as possible. The third is another kind of rescue mission. Tar Seminus is a legendary paladin. I guess the paladin. Oh, let me show my adventure again. The paladin from Hell. There he is on page 2. He's a figure out of legend. He's gone off into this solo quest into hell. He's fought this eternal battle, was never seen again, but astrologers have now figured out where he is, and he's still down there. He's still fighting. The dishonor that drove him down there to do this awful quest was cleared and repaid long ago. Go down there, find him, and bring him back if you can. The fourth is bargaining. So you want to learn the spell Wish? Well, the only person in creation that can tell you that is a pit lord around the hate star in the city of Pandemonium in the bottom of hell. Go there and see what they want in return for that awful secret. The fifth is MacGuffin quest. So there is a powerful artifact, the titular artifact, Mulciber's Flute. It is said to be able to call forth any soul from wherever it is in the world, living or dead. Very powerful, useful to both necromancers and potentially great healers at the same time. Go and find it and bring it back. The last hook, number 6, is a righteous siege of hell. So this would be perhaps later in a city's experience of having Mulciber's Flute and this pocket hell underneath them. Go down there with a war band, do as much damage as possible, and try and completely end the influence of this place on the city above. Okay, so I make these adventures systemless, as you know. If you are running this, you're getting ready to do that, apart from reading it, here's some things to look out for. One is that I've spent most of my time on the encounters, the kind of experience, the context, the NPCs. There's not a lot of detail about the blistered land, the frozen heights, the pillars of iron. So think a little bit about what that would be like to be there, to hide there. There's encounters for all of that stuff, but the specifics of the terrain you probably want to think a little bit about in terms of your own system. Similarly, the wake wasps. So these are blown like ashes on the breeze at these little wasps, and they're there to prevent anyone from having any experience of mercy whatsoever. The sting is painless, but their toxin burns away sleep. It doesn't burn away fatigue, it burns away intoxication or unconsciousness. You need to think a little bit about what that's like. And wake wasps are very common, so what's it going to be like for the players, mechanically speaking, once the adventurers rather have been suffering from this for a few days. The last thing is, if you spend any time here, you're probably going to want some additional encounters. The technique I recommend is to, when you have an encounter, just cross it out and write something worse in its place. Then you might want a couple of other kind of demonic monsters from your own favorites on hand. Okay, the danger level of this adventure. Again, in a systemless adventure, it's really more about the structure of the place, the kind of tactical considerations. There is a horrible trap at the start. Don't touch the skull. Other than that, though, it's pretty obvious you're getting into some serious danger. You're going down. There's definitely the mythic overtones of making such a huge multi-mile descent down to this hellish landscape. The guards at the castles don't want you in. They will offer to let you in, but there's a terrible price that must be paid first. So there's all sorts of signs that the danger level is ratcheting up, not to mention the hellish landscape that's visible as soon as you get out of that castle. Probably the one thing that softens the blow a little bit is that there's no real pursuit. The guards at the castles aren't here to chase you, to punish you. They're just here to stop you getting in and to stop you getting out. The landscape is large and uncomfortable, but there's probably a lot of places to hide in the pillars of iron and the blistered land. So if a party is reeling from an encounter of some kind, there's a lot of places where they might go and rest up unless they're running out of food. The worst danger is probably getting stuck. If somebody does touch the skull, please don't touch the skull, or somebody gets killed, or somebody the characters really care about gets stuck in the cycle of instantiation, then they're probably going to have to make a difficult choice about whether to continue on through the considerable danger to think about rescuing that person, or whether they're going to have to make that awful choice that Everest climbers often have to do, and that is leave somebody behind because they're just can't be saved. That is so my declaration of difficulty level Everest for this adventure. All right, hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if you get any use out of this, or if you use it for parts and get inspired by it, and maybe write your own adventure. As always, the text, the illustrations are all released under Creative Commons by NC. So if you want to use them in your personal projects, go ahead and do that. I have a Patreon if you like the adventures and you want to throw me a buck every time I make one. See the link in the description. That's not necessary though. Feel free to enjoy them freely, and I'd love it if you'd share my name. My Twitter is at Fuseboy at Twitter, or hop over to my blog and download the adventure. All right, thanks, and happy exploring the depths of hell.